Okay, here's the second video. I'm going to get a little more detailed. I'm going to end up taking this piece apart. Mostly this is to communicate with my brother Larry to see if he has any ideas on this. But here's what I'm liking so far. You pull back on the lever, locks into position, 5 different iterations. Your desk will be horizontal, and you split that, so that should be 67.5. Here's 45, 22.5, and 90 degrees. My version, you'll not be able to spin this around. We had that really slick version with Dad's design based on this little piece, allowed you to turn the whole thing, but not going to be able to do that. So it'll just be floor mounted, and you just place this where you want it. And if you need to turn it, well, you just turn the whole stand, and that'll be it. So I want to look at the fastening methods I've got here right now. I got some things off of McMaster Carr. I forget what they call these, barrel bushings or something. So they come with a 832 screw. That's this outside piece, and the the 832 screw. My camera goes out of focus. It's hard to see, but the 832 screw goes into this bushing, which is tapped. So you've got this outer flange, and then it's got a outside diameter, goes all the way through this housing, through this mounting bar, and then to that housing. And then on the other side, because that inside bushing is tapped, I can attach another 832 screw. And what this does is it allows me to attach it and take it apart if I need to, but it's also a relatively low profile look. I really like this side, which is very low profile. This side I've doubled up, but it's still lower. This one operates on the same principle, although I made this one. This bushing is, or this barrel nut, I guess you call it, so there's no attachment method here, no slots or anything, because I like the cleanest look as I can come up with. And at this point it's just mated with a I think it's a 3/8 inch slotted screw. But I'm going to take this apart and discuss the spring mechanism. So put my camera down, it'll take a second. I don't have a video person with me, so I'm just undoing things right now. Appreciate your sticking with me while I take these things apart. Hopefully my parts won't fall all over the floor and make me have to start this video over. Almost done. Hang on, just about. Okay, now I've got it more or less taken apart. Anyway, I've got it off the mount again, so you can see this is the barrel piece that goes through this hole and then through that hole, and then tightens on the other side with this cut off 832 screw. Now I need to take this one off, and hopefully everything won't totally fall apart, so hang on again. Okay, I'm going to try and take this apart. I took that retaining screw off, take the plate off, and now you can see how that functions. So camera can't get into focus, but here's my spring. I got attached in here. I had to mill out a little groove so that this surface is even, or even recessed a little bit with this surface, because I don't want the action of the spring to interfere with this mounting plate when it's put on top of it. But it actually works pretty well now. I like the tension on it when I pull. it just feels pretty good. And that's a spring I cut to length, so I'll probably look for something on the internet that's a very definite size. So what I really want is the biggest possible spring with the most tension on it, but again, on the other hand, as small as possible to fit within the constraints of the housing. So the whole goal was, again, to downsize this version that Dad made. I really like the functionality, but I want to downsize it in actual physical size and therefore also by weight. And transferring all that principle of the way the mechanism moves, Dad's original version had a spring that was tied around here, came down here, and then put pressure against there and functioned beautifully. So I tried to imitate that first, and that was with this spring mounted someplace in there, and it kind of worked, but not real well. And then those other videos you saw, I went through these different iterations. I'm still kind of curious about this spring because it is designed to sort of function like Dad's, if I can get it into place. And I think when I had it in there, it was mounted in that hole. It was kind of ornery to get into position because this piece has to be against that line and this piece against that line. And in fact, at one point, if we can show it, I actually milled a little groove. Here, I think you can see that. I milled that groove, and that kept this this arm, or this leg of the spring, in place as it moved along here and made the tension. Again, I kind of liked it, but it was just still just a little, it just didn't feel firm enough. And by the time I found springs on the internet that had more tension, they were too large to fit inside of here. So I don't know if that's if I should just abandon this idea altogether. This one seems to work. I guess now the next thing is trying to I like this mount in here, but this is the mount now that's adding to the look of this piece, and I'm trying to keep that minimized. So of course when you put that on the other side, it's just the 440 screw. And I didn't size this or anything, so it's sticking out a little bit. But you can see how the spring mounts to that screw. That seems to be fine. And then the milling didn't quite come out totally accurate. So the idea was that this spring would go all the way through to that hole. And that's actually tapped for a 440. And of course, you know that when you try to put something through this plate, which is tapped, go through here, which is open, and then try to go through this part, you've got the screw acting against this tapped hole and that tapped hole, and the likelihood of that working is well, it's more likely that it won't work, that it'll spread them apart. So I think what I have to do is come up with another barrel nut idea, same thing that's used here and with these pieces. Those came out, so you can see how there they are. Actually, this is one that's still embedded in there. Anyway, the idea is to hide as much of the hardware as possible in the look, and I certainly don't want any of this sharp thing sticking out. If the final one is actually seen and it's not recessed down enough to be flat, then that's okay, but it has to be a nice smooth thing. And if I could actually hide, you know, the screw aspect of it, that would be ideal also. So Larry has any ideas on this connection, that would be helpful. Anyway, people seeing this can now steal my ideas and make it better and go make your own.